She is Yuki, a highly trained assassin who has just completed a job and is taking some time off. While watching television, she comes across a breaking news report showing how a foreign diplomat named Bruno Diaz is assassinated on national television. Bruno's head turned to mush in a fraction of a second. Yuki, with great weapon knowledge, knows only a top professional like her could do this. Yes, Yuki is watching her work on TV. It's good to see your achievements and learn you could improve. Nearby, we meet John, a government agent leading the investigation. His assistant Juliet brings valuable information. It turns out a prominent government sniper entered and exited Bruno's country recently. Now he's in the city, and that could be an indication that he's the shooter they're looking for. His name is Brandon, and right now arrest warrants are being requested in his name. While Brandon spends hours playing on his console, he has no idea of the storm that's coming his way. He's so engrossed in the virtual action of his video game that he barely realizes his house is about to be raided from all angles. With a big explosion, his door turns to dust and the agents enter his house and arrest him. The rest search the area for weapons or explosives. According to what they heard with the microphones, they were prepared to face a group of men, but it all turned out to be the video game. And they say these are not nearly real experiences. Yuki, who was just around the corner, has orders to kill Brandon. However, it is of vital importance that it looks like an accident. In fact, they gave him a specific one-bullet weapon to use when he killed Brandon. But now that he is in police custody, the plan is not viable. John takes Brandon to a safe house where he introduces him to Rosenberg, a national security agent who is sure that Brandon and his father Thomas are behind Bruno's murder. Although Brandon had been strong and uncooperative, hearing his father's name made him more receptive. Rosenberg reminds him that for men like him, prison is not an option. Being sent to a classified facility in the middle of nowhere where he will be tortured daily for the rest of his life. This is the fate that awaits those who murder high-value government members, just like Bruno was. Despite the pressure he is under, Brandon remains strong, so they order him to be transferred to a secret facility immediately. Meanwhile, we see some Russian criminals being hired over the fall. The client sent the payment in cash and wants them to attack the convoy that will take Brandon. The plan is to eliminate him and anyone who gets in their way, to ensure success. They will have some help, but they cannot fail in the objective of eliminating the American. Rosenberg visits the recordings of the attack and discovers that a magnate named Donald was sitting in a strange way, as if he knew what was going to happen. Meanwhile, the convoy carrying Brandon is being attacked by the Russians, who have long guns and kill the agents escorting him. However, Brandon isn't an easy target during the shootout. He breaks free and takes the agents' weapons, eliminating two of them with an excellent maneuver. While the rest approach the van, Yuki shoots it with her rifle from afar, but misses. Brandon manages to reach the driver's seat and accelerates the truck, which, despite being wrecked, still moves, allowing him to escape. Furious, Yuki eliminates the last useless Russian who couldn't complete the job. Back with Rosenberg, he has arrived with Donald, who tells him that he had nothing to do with what happened, but it was certain to happen. The deal Bruno was about to make threatened the wealth of many powerful people who would do whatever necessary to protect themselves. Bruno wanted to oppose pharmacies, even more dangerous than tobacco and alcohol. To find who killed Bruno, just follow the money. That will give you the answer you're looking for, as billions were moved in a matter of hours. Later, John escapes from the attack on the caravan and the small detail that Brandon escaped. John is sure that Thomas, Brandon's father, is behind all this. He is a powerful and wanted man. It's about his son. There is no other option. Meanwhile, Brandon has reached the city, where he is stopped by two police officers who force him to act against them and beat them up. Then he gets in and hijacks a guy's car, forcing him to take him to a safe place. Rosenberg is sure there's something fishy about all this and calls Juliet to tell her he thinks there's a rat in the agency. If not, how do you explain that the attack on Brandon's caravan was carried out with such precision? Meanwhile, Rosenberg has arrived at the leading pharmacy company. There he is greeted by a man named Phoenix, who kindly tells him to go to hell. The badge Rosenberg carries doesn't matter. He can't get past the lobby and will have to do something different if he wants to enter the mega corporation's facilities. On the other hand, Brandon stole a car, and when it broke down, he got into the back of a truck with an uncertain destination. We don't know if he has a destination or if he's just trying to get as far away from everyone as possible. In the end, we see him meet with his father Thomas in the middle of the forest, to whom he explains that he has been framed. He has nothing to do with Bruno's death. Back with Rosenberg, I requested Phoenix's file from the agency, but it turns out there's no one by that name on the company's payroll. In fact, he doesn't appear in any branch. He's a ghost and surely hiding something. John realizes that Juliet is wasting resources helping Rosenberg chase ghosts, so he orders her to focus on the search for Brandon. Later, Rosenberg arrives at the hospital. It turns out that one of the Russians survived the confrontation and might have valuable information about who ordered Brandon's death. After drawing his weapon and applying pressure to the Russian's wound, he breaks down and tells him that the person who paid them changed their voice, but he could hear a helicopter in the background. John arrives at Brandon's house and sends some photos to Juliet, who recognizes Phoenix in one of them, which means they were unit mates. The record indicates that his name is Carl and he's been dead for 5 years, which is a lie unless Rosenberg is seeing ghosts. Rosenberg ends up tracking down Straher, a specialist who reveals to him that he altered Carl's file because Carl threatened his family. He didn't know what to do. Men like Phoenix kill you for fun. However, he assures him that Brando is not the subject they are looking for, since the files Phoenix asked him to alter contain data on the Yakuza, so their target belongs to them. With this information, Rosenberg calls John to tell him that he is following the wrong man. But John has just sent a unit to Brandon's last location and they have his father's cabin surrounded. Together, father and son confront John's men, but someone else opens fire on them from a distance. Once they manage to defeat the agents, Brandon chases the mysterious shooter and catches up to them, discovering that it's Yuki, who attacks him with everything she has in an exciting fight. In the end, Yuki wins the fight, but before she can execute Brandon, his father appears and controls the situation using a helmet with cameras from the dead agents. Brandon communicates with John and shows him Yuki, telling him that she was the one who killed Bruno and someone is trying to frame him. John still doesn't believe the story, but he orders a check on this Yuki and discovers she's under Phoenix's orders and has been in Bruno's country several times. Juliet finally connects the dots and discovers that after Bruno's death, billions of dollars ended up in Phoenix's accounts. The whole idea of blaming Brandon is merely personal revenge. Brandon confirms this by telling them that Phoenix was sent to a military prison after Brandon reported him for murdering innocent people during a mission. Rosenberg, who went to Donald's house to ask more questions, is attacked by Phoenix, who easily overpowers and handcuffs him to a chair. Donald and Phoenix are partners. The old man has the contacts and Phoenix the resources. A winning combination to become billionaires. Shortly after, Yuki arrives with Brandon, planning to pretend he's a hostage to enter the house. Phoenix lets them in. Once inside, he shoots Yuki in betrayal. He no longer needs her and thus saves the money he was supposed to pay her. The fight between former partners begins. It's long and intense, but in the end Phoenix wins. However, Brandon tells him the house is surrounded and there's no escape. He convinces him to go out to the balcony, where he plans to demand a helicopter to escape. But it was all a trap. Brandon knew his father would be ready for a chance, and when he had a clear shot, he blew Phoenix's head off from afar. In Donald's case, Chucky managed to stop him before he escaped, so he will receive a deal that will allow him to negotiate the terms of his surrender with John. In the end, Brandon meets his father, who tells him he should have moved right, not the other way. That was one of the most difficult shots of his life, especially because he did it with his bad eye. And that's how this great movie ends. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and thanks for